Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast postgame show. The Hawks lose to Brandon Hagel and the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-2. I'm Jay Zawaski. Greg Boysen to my left. Mario Tirabassi to my far left. We're presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free dope merch shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet using that code CHGO. So, fellas, for the second night in a row, the Hawks go up against a Stanley Cup contender, and for the second night in a row, they get their doors blown off.
Hey, they scored.
We are seeing just how far away the Hawks are from contention. And boy, that was an outright slaughter from start to finish.
Yeah, even though they scored and it looks better.
I called it.
Even though it looks better than last night on paper, it was honestly it was a more lopsided game than we saw against the Panthers in favor of the Lightning, which it just blows my mind. But yeah, to your point, Jay, this is just. These past 2 games are just the measuring stick of like, okay, how far away will this rebuild be? It's going to be some time. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, there were some moments there that you could appreciate the Hawks' effort. They were down 2-0 on the road. You were like, oh, well,
yeah.
What else is on?
They fought back,
and then they tied the game. They had that weird moment where they stopped the play to review that Seth Jones.
To confirm
that was so
it,
weird.
To confirm it did not go in.
Right, like
hold on.
Like why did
yes,
you
it
just
did not go in.
Wait till the next stoppage of play? But then right after that they scored, and then then the start of the second period they came out really good in the start of the second period. They had some chances. They don't like to shoot the puck very often, which is a problem. And then Tampa was pretty much like, you know what, we're done screwing around. We're just going to, we got it from here, boys. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, but it was Ross Colton.
Ross Colton.
It wasn't the Tampa, the headliners. It was Ross Colton. The third line. My goodness, the third line. The third line of all time.
Tampa won Stanley Cup solely on their third line is what I heard tonight.
Had nothing to do with the best goalie on earth and Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos. Nothing.
Nope.
Just that third line.
Just that third line. You got to have a third line.
All right, well, let's look at some of the ugly numbers. Final score 5-2. Brandon Hagel putting the extra heartbreak factor on the empty netter. Shot attempts 69-38 in favor of Tampa.
That's very nice.
Shots on goal 43-23. If you're not sure, these are all in favor of Tampa. 5-on-5 scoring chances. Listen to this: 40-8. And 5-on-5 high danger chances 16-4.
How did they only lose 5-2?
It's unreal. And
8 scoring chances at 5-on-5 in a 60-minute hockey game.
It's not going to get it done.
Oh my God!
Well, look, Mario, you mentioned it. They had several quality looks that they just chose to pass up for some reason.
Yeah.
And this has been a trend for the Hawks, not just this year, but for years, where they've got an opportunity to shoot the damn puck and just opt not to. We saw it from Alex DeBrincat, of all people. We saw it from Seth Jones. Seth Jones was wide open in the slot, has a free look at the goalie with time and with space, and then dumps it into the left corner, puts it at the feet of, it might have been Kubalik. I forget who. It doesn't even matter because it was Radish, actually. And just nothing happened. There's so many moments like that. And when you're up against a team that is taking you to school like the Lightning are doing, if you get a prime look, take it.
It doesn't even have to be that prime of a look.
Yeah.
Look how they scored their first goal.
Exactly.
Just threw it at the net with some traffic, and holy smokes, it went in. It's weird how that works when you shoot the puck.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it goes in.
Sometimes hockey can be complicated and intricate and analytical, and sometimes you just need to throw the puck at the net and see what happens.
Yep.
And with exactly like with DeHaan's goal, I'm sure he wasn't looking to score, unless he thinks now he's got the hot stick. But
he saw traffic in front and said, "Hey, if it doesn't get through, maybe it takes a deflection off a knee pad and goes in."
Deflection, rebound, anything.
You just you just take advantage of what's given to you. These guys are constantly trying to create plays that just aren't there. They're trying to make these highlight reel passes that aren't going to happen. they're down 4-2 late in the game with the goalie pull. They got an extra attacker, and they're still passing the puck around the zone. Shoot the damn puck.
Yeah, in the third period, by the way, is a good indicator. The Hawks entered the third down 4-2. Halfway through the third period, 5-1 in terms of shots for the Lightning. The Hawks were not doing. Stu Grimson said it during the second intermission, and I've really liked what he's done, by the way. You got to kind of start taking some chances, some calculated risks to get some scoring chances. And if you're 10 minutes in and it's 5-1, you're not doing that.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It's really frustrating. And yes, this is a true Stanley Cup contender, obvious back-to-back Stanley Cup champions with as good of a chance as anyone to win their third in a row here. But you've got to give yourself a chance. And when those opportunities are there, take them. Do what you can to take them. And I think that can be the indication of a team that is struggling, that's low on confidence, saying, look, if we're going to score, it's got to be a highlight reel goal. The problem is the Hawks don't have the personnel to execute highlight reel goals like they did 5-10 years ago.
It's been something this team has been conditioned to do for a number of years, where, you know, they're what was it? They had four shots on their first 4 power play opportunities.
It was 4. I checked in between in the second intermission. They had 4 power plays, 4 shots on goal. Granted, one of them went in, but then when you looked at Tampa, they had 2 power plays. One of them was only for a minute. So 3 minutes of power play time, they had 5 shots on goal
and 2 goals.
So
yeah, shoot, taking opportunities to shoot, no matter if it's, you know, a beautiful cross crease one-time shot, or it's just, you know, a puck at the net that takes a deflection, gives up a rebound at something. It's worth it. So and I think for a long time, you know, the Blackhawks used to have a power play of Taves, Kane, Sharp, Hossa, Keith, and you could, you know, globetrotter your way to a beautiful scoring chance and capitalize on it. But now they don't, like you said, they don't have that personnel, and they're still trying to set up the most beautiful scoring opportunity when you're a team that just needs to get whatever you can take. You don't have to sit there and, you know, take an entire minute to get one good opportunity. Like, sometimes you just got to just make your own luck. Throw it at net.
Get a guy. You've got an extra guy. Take that extra guy, put his ass right in the goalie's face, and don't move, and shoot from the point.
It's so simple.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Alex DeBrincat one-timer from the circle, but asses in the goalie's face and shots on the net. That will work a lot more.
It's
often.
harder to stop.
That could be a shirt.
That's our next shirt.
That could be a shirt.
Merch.
Ass in the goalie face. That's my power play strategy.
So here's what we're talking about, right? Riley Stillman had 4 block shots. Kelvin DeHaan had 4 block shots for the Hawks. 2 tops on the team. Tampa, as a team, had 7 block shots. Oh, God. You're not shooting enough if that's the case. If during 60 minutes the opposing team blocked only 7 shots, you're not shooting enough.
That's insane.
And I don't feel like the zone time, and this is something we could probably look up, and I probably should have done, but I'm a hack, as everybody knows. The zone time didn't feel super staggered to me.
No.
Not at least relative to the numbers we're seeing.
No. And yeah, at 5-on-5, it really seemed like the game was a little bit more even as far as, you know, the flow of everything. It didn't. There were a few times where Tampa had more sustained time, but it wasn't as extreme as, you know, 40-8 in 5-on-5 scoring chances that Tampa was favored for. So yeah, I mean, it just seemed like, you know, it's a Tampa team that's so talented that can just make the most of opportunities, and credit to Kevin Lankinen. Like, you know, this is what, the 3rd or 4th game in a row where the Blackhawks have given up like 40 or more shots, and Kevin Lankinen and Colin Delia have made in the upper 30s and 40s of saves, trying to do their best to keep the team in some of these games. And yeah, you give up 4 goals, but like, when you're getting shelled like that, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, he's Denny Lemieux from Slapshot out there, just screaming and hallucinating and seeing ghosts, because it's just everything is it's just constant. It's a constant barrage of shots getting through.
And unfortunately, it's too late for him to say, trade me right now.
Right. Boy, yeah, it's,
who owns Hawks?
Who owned the Hawks? Yeah. It's we're seeing, look, nobody expected the Hawks to win these games against Tampa and against Florida. You knew they're coming up against two of the better teams in hockey. The losses were expected. I will say, effort-wise, it seemed to be there. It's just that mindset of, look, we've got to stop thinking we're this top-tier team that can make highlight reel Savardian goals all the time and just start throwing the puck at the net. Because when they do that, they get some success. And that's how you're going to stay in these games, is those fluky bounces here or there that are going to go your way. When you get those opportunities, take them. And I'd love to see, like, we were trying to find it during the game, where the Hawks rank in terms of power play shots, or maybe even a better question would be shots per power play. They've got to be towards the end of the bottom of the league there, because it's just pass, skate backwards. You pointed out, Greg, on Twitter, how far backwards can you go on this power play?
How many times can you pass backwards in one power play? They're trying to set the record.
And I get the slingshot is the new kind of stylish power play method.
I hate it.
I hate it so much.
It takes time off the power play. Because what's the point? Okay, you pass it back to the point man, who then skates the center ice, stops, passes it back behind him again. Just get the damn puck in the zone. You got an extra guy out there. Use it. It shouldn't be this difficult. Not at this level.
It shouldn't be.
What I wanted to find out, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I wanted to see the correlation. My thinking is that the teams that are in the top 10 in power play in the league also are in the top 10 of power play shots, where the bottom 10 teams in power play percentage are probably bottom of shots. But I couldn't find anywhere on the interwebs. Apparently, that's not something they track.
You'd think with all the graphs and whatnot.
NHL tracks what type of shots. I could tell you exactly how many wraparound attempts the Blackhawks have had this season, but not how many power play shots, which blows my mind. That should be a very easy. It's on the event summaries of every game. How is that not a column on NHL.com/stats?
That's a very good question.
Maybe I'll do some research this weekend and see if I can find that, because I bet you I'm right. If there was a points bet app bet on this, I would take that I'm right, that the teams that shoot more on the power play score more on the power play. I know it's a weird concept, but I'm willing to bet that that's how it goes. And Blackhawks just refuse to shoot. I feel like one of those guys in the 300 level. I mean, shoot! That's what I want to scream every time.
People make the joke about it, but sometimes
you need.
Sometimes it's right.
Sometimes they force us to yell shoot.
Right? Yeah.
It's maddening. And to beat a team like the Panthers or to beat a team like the Lightning, you have to play a simple hockey game. You have to get those quote unquote greasy goals. You got to get a shin pad goal, something. Because if your game plan is to go out there and try and play run and gun against the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're going to lose 5-2 and get outchanced 40-8 or whatever it was tonight. This is exactly what's going to happen. So you need to change your mindset and say, hey, in order for us to beat any team on any night,
that's the thing.
Not just Tampa, the Buffalo freaking Sabres, we're going to have the Arizona Coyotes in our building on Sunday night. Let's just play a simple game and try and score some goals from in close, get some rebounds, get some bodies to the net. I don't know what it is with this team for years. This isn't a problem on this road trip. This isn't a problem this season. We got too many guys that just want to play on the perimeter and not enough guys to go in between the dots and get a few bruises to score a goal.
Well, fortunately, it looks like Kyle Davidson sees that problem, and if you look at the moves he's made, they sort of reflect that. He wants guys with a willingness to engage. Lafferty and Radish and Kachuk and the people he's brought in seem to play that kind of game. And anyone who observes the Hawks for any extended period of time has seen that for years. There's too many Nylanders. There's too many passengers. There have been anyway on this team. And when you are not overly skilled, you need to win games through grit and through determination and simplicity. And I think when Derek King took over, that was sort of the first thing that changed, right? You started to see in the Hawks just go out and play hockey the way you know how to play it. Keep it simple, pucks on net, yada, yada, yada. And it works. But then as the season goes on, and look, these guys are human. You know, they're not hockey robots. And there is a psychological element to the game. And they're squeezing the stick too hard and all those buzzwords that have been used in hockey for years. But at some point, and we've all praised Derek King, at some point the coach has to get in the ear and be like, shoot. If I see you pass up a shot in the slot, it's a bag skate or it's a fine in kangaroo court or whatever. There's got to be some way to get that message through a drill, through something to get these guys thinking shoot first, because it's the only way they're going to be able to hang when they've got so few scoring chances as it is. When you get them, take them.
Well, and we saw it with a player like Kirby Dach, who I feel like the fan base has lost their mind over over his ability or over his inability to think of shooting first. And, he took some time at, earlier in this season and addressed I need to, have more confidence in my shot, shoot more. And he started doing it and he started scoring a little bit, or he would get up, he would get some scoring chances that would turn into, rebounds or another chance, whatever it was. It was working. And then it's kind of trailed off for him now. So it's just, I think the biggest thing with this Blackhawks team that we're going to want to see through the rest of the season to carry into next season is just a consistency of effort, because they will, like you said, they're not going to out-talent teams. They're going to have to outwork them, out-effort them. And against a team like the Lightning, you're going to have to do that for 60 full minutes. You can't just do it for 15 minutes at a time, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. You have to do it for the full effort. So you want to see the Blackhawks have that kind of sustained 60-minute effort. And it's just, we're just not at that point yet. They don't have really the makeup or the know-how to put an effort like that together for a full 60 minutes. We're seeing it in spurts. We've talked, Derek King talked about how they're seeing little pieces of, little flashes of the team being able to do that. But it just has to come together in a full effort. And until they can do that, it's you're going to have to hope that they can just kind of run and gun for, get some punches and bunches, like 2-3 goals in a couple minutes, and have that stand for a game. It's not sustainable, but no, that's their best hope right now.
Let's spend some time on Kirby Dach, because you brought him up, and we saw a moment in this game where he had a breakaway and got caught from behind by Zach Bogosian, known speedster. Zach Bogosian.
How many of those
fleet of foot?
How many of those? That's 3-time defending speed competition winner at the All-Star Games. Zach Bogosian, right?
Yeah, often compared to Pavel Bure. Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, that's not good. I mean,
and we actually looked, because we were saying maybe he was at the end of a shift. We went back, looked at the shift chart, and it was only 30 seconds into a shift. So he should have had plenty of gas in the tank at that point to break away. And even if he did get a step more than he got, you saw again him stick handle himself into submission, where Vasilevsky's like, well, he's a foot away from me, so I'm just going to take away the bottom of the net, and there's not much he can do. Over stick handling, trying to do the tuck move.
Thinking too much. That's been his problem.
Elevate how many times have we heard Eddie Olczyk say it? Elevate the puck and shoot, and someone's chasing behind you that can put that rebound in, or maybe it goes off a skate, a la Nicoletti, or a butt a la Nicoletti in the playoffs against the Kings, right? You never know, but if you barely get a shot off, you're never going to know. And the more time that goes by, we've talked about Doc a little bit this year. Here I go, qualifying things. We talked about off the air.
Quarter in the jar.
It's just the inability to finish is becoming more of a concern every game for me. And I don't know, when I saw him get that chance, I said, boy, him scoring a goal right now would be so huge for the team, so huge for his confidence, and he literally skates himself into submission where he's got no move to make except for nicely pinning the puck up against Vasilevsky's pad.
Kirby Dach in his rookie season played in 64 games, had 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points, and was a -1. This season, he has played in 64 games. He has 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points, and is a -13. Where's the development?
There's been no progression. We're seeing the same things we were concerned about Kirby Dach that rookie season. We're still talking about almost at the end of his third season.
Passive.
No, he's not aggressive. He shows flashes,
but he plays like a perimeter player.
And he shouldn't,
which is what he shouldn't be doing. You're 6'4". I would kill to be 6'4" and 200 pounds. Yeah. You know what I would do at 6'4", 200 pounds?
Shoot the puck.
I'd get my ass in the goalie's face.
There you go, attaboy.
I'd listen to Coach Greg.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's he has the physical stature to be someone who should be able to go into corners, play behind the net, play in front of the net, really get physical.
Is he modern day Eric Daze with less goals?
Oh God.
Because that was Eric Daze's problem, if you remember.
Yeah, I mean,
Daze's biggest problem was he came in during Eric Lindros's height of his career, and then the Hawks get a big guy, and he didn't want to go anywhere near the front of the net.
Yeah,
he needs.
Well, especially for a guy in Doc that was supposed to be a center. He doesn't play like a center.
And we know he could take a hit. We saw it last night. He could take a hit and get back up.
Marcus Kruger 2.0.
So how about
Too many of those
you
hits.
take that hit? Well, he takes too many of those hits because he's always by the freaking boards and not in the middle of the ice.
Right.
There was a moment in this game where he was in the crease. There was a loose puck, and he just got out-muscled by everybody. Dude, you're big. Reminder, you're a big guy. Like, I want to send him tape of prime Jeff Carter and be like, dude, be him.
Yeah, exactly.
Be that guy. There's no reason he couldn't be a Jeff Carter type player. Carter's a little more filled out than he is, but Doc is still, 20, 21?
21.
There's room to grow physically and muscle-wise. Watch those guys play.
It's crazy to me that, and I might be just completely wrong here, but it's crazy to me that a guy who's been, and I know he was hurt, but someone who's been in an NHL strength and conditioning program for 3 seasons to still be kind of like lanky at 6'4", 200 plus pounds, and like not be able to kind of elevate his physicality to the NHL level that I think he should be at as a 3-season pro now. It's crazy to me. I don't understand how that's.
I just want to know, what has Kirby Doc gotten better at since his rookie season? Face-offs? No. Has he gotten bigger? No. Has he gotten faster? No. Is he scoring more consistently? No. And, I'm really afraid that his entire development was botched by Bowman rushing him to get here. And there's nothing that can be done about it. Sam Bowman's fired. He's gone. So it is what it is at this point. But the team unexpectedly sort of gets a number 3 pick. Like, okay, here's your chance to jumpstart a rebuild. And from what we're seeing from Kirby Doc right now, we're talking if I had to put a ceiling on his career at this point, good second line center. And that's just not good enough for a guy who was picked at 3. It's just not.
Yeah, no, he. I mean, and to his standards, he had a decent game tonight. But
Yeah, that's right.
But if this is what we consider a good Kirby Doc game, then that's a complete swing and a miss at the number 3 overall pick.
The standard for him needs to be higher.
Exactly. If this is how we can agree and say, hey, Kirby Doc played good tonight, he had an assist, it needs to be better.
And I've been willing to give him some leash this season, knowing that he was coming back from a difficult injury and basically an entire lost year of development. But we're now 64, 65 games into the season. Mm-hmm. It's the leash is tight now. Like you need to start showing some development. And I mean, I thought at the beginning of the season his next contract would be somewhere in the like 3-4 million range or something, and he's nowhere near that.
I'd give him $4 million total for 2 years.
Right.
It's the thing that's even more disappointing about that, because if you remember the COVID pause, and then when he got to the bubble in the playoffs, that playoff series against Edmonton, it was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. This is what we were hoping to see.
Yeah.
And then nothing came from that. I mean, yes, he got hurt the next season, and it was just like, whatever guy that was playing in the Edmonton bubble wearing number 77, let's trade for that guy.
Yeah.
Because that guy was pretty good.
Really?
Right.
He hasn't been, ever since Vegas knocked him out of that bubble, that guy has completely disappeared.
In his last 10 games, Kirby Doc has 3 points.
Are they all assists?
Yep.
That's not good enough.
Yeah, it's this is someone who came into the organization, and a lot of people were making Jonathan Toews, Ryan Getzlaf comparisons. And I mean, geez, I would take Jonathan Toews and Ryan Getzlaf right now as a comparison for Kirby Doc, because that would be a higher ceiling than what he has.
Well, look, I took a lot of heat on Twitter from a particular outlet, our buddies at Faxes from Uncle Dale, for saying that Kirby Doc's skating style reminds me of Alex Tuck. Right now, would you make a trade, Kirby Doc for Alex Tuck? Absolutely,
Done.
you would do that.
I would drive young Mr. Doc right to the
Absolutely. you would do that. And I didn't think, even entering this year, if you asked me that question, I'd say, hell no. Kirby Dach's number 3 overall pick. We've seen flashes of goodness. I won't say greatness, but goodness from him in the playoffs before. I'm not giving up on Kirby Dach, but I have flipped so much. Look, if you go back and listen to past episodes of this podcast or the Madhouse podcast, you can hear my optimism just ramping down on Dach because I'm an eternal optimist. I always look at the positive. This is the way I am, and I'm really having trouble convincing myself that he's going to develop into anything close to what we thought he was going to.
Because he's not shown us any signs. He's the same guy he was that rookie season. We're at the, as Mario pointed out, and we're at almost the end of his 3rd pro year, and he's the same guy he was when he made his NHL debut.
Well,
that's not concerning. That's flat out disheartening.
Well, let's get into this a little more too, because as I'm thinking about this as we talk, who are the Hawks prospects that have developed really well?
One of them played for Tampa tonight.
Yeah, Brandon Hagel is one of them, right?
You mean Jan Ruda?
But Philip Kurashev, has there been much growth in his game?
I mean, I will say, all right, even though he was a healthy scratch 2 out of the last 3 games, Mackenzie Entwistle's developed nicely over the last 3 seasons between the Ice Hogs and here, but he's not a star player.
Right, but what's his potential, right?
Right. He is what he is right now. This is what he's going to be, I think.
But I feel like Entwistle's development was almost based on the way he plays, and the expectation was just to grow. Just grow physically. And that would sort of be when his body was NHL ready, then he would make it to the NHL.
I mean,
well, let's play the game. Where is his spot on the championship Hawks?
Right.
Rockford. Yeah,
right.
Rockford.
No, Indy.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Not really. There's not a lot of guys you could say that to. Now we're going to maybe get some, because again, Stan Bowman no longer here. Thank God. Development was never something he cared about.
Right.
He never had the patience.
The plan for development seems to have changed.
So we're going to
instantly with
we're
going to
see guys like Ian Mitchell, who got a lot of NHL time last year, who's played twice in the NHL this year. We've talked about Lucas Reichel and the patience, rightfully so, with him. Some of those young defensemen, Wyatt Kalynuk is a guy that got a taste last year, not so much this year.
Not at all.
Well, yeah, exactly. He hasn't.
Has he played a game, Kalynuk?
I don't think at the NHL. No, maybe one.
I feel like there was maybe 2 or 3.
I know he's been called up a couple times. I don't know if he actually.
Yeah, I think that's what's confusing. Anyways, yeah, I think what we're seeing now is a more patient approach with development. It's what they're going to need to do. But yeah, I mean, Jay, to your point, like Philip Kurashev is a lot like Kirby Dach. He's kind of the same player that we saw last year, and haven't really seen much upward trajectory with him. And yeah, Mackenzie Entwistle, his ceiling is like role player, and he's kind of reaching it. Is he going to be more than a third line guy? Probably not. I don't think his trajectory is anything higher than that. So yeah, it's good to see that he's gotten an extended NHL look, and he's gotten that time. But I don't really know how much more he can develop into, what the Hawks will hope he develops into. And
how about the goalies? Kevin Lankinen, Colin Delia? If anything, they've both regressed.
Yeah, Lankinen for sure, and I think that's a product of inconsistent playing time.
Sure.
And Delia, I think he's kind of plateaued. I think this is what he is. He's an NHL backup, AHL starter, kind of tweener.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I really don't think that we've really seen much development with the players that you would have expected to develop or hope to develop, and now it's kind of on the new regime to fix the development problems that Stan Bowman and the former front office had with
you know what we say to that?
Hop on the ride. There it is.
Yeah. Don't lose hope, people.
Hop on the ride.
Hop on that development ride.
It's going to be sweet when we get there.
I see we get a couple people in the chat discussing that draft where Kirby Dach was taken 3rd overall. And a lot of people, I like to say, the Hawks should have drafted Mo Seider. He was right there for you. Sure, they should have, but you also got to remember,
Hindsight is 2020.
That and Yzerman was torched for taking Seider where he was. Everybody thought he was reaching big time. He was projected to be a second-round pick or a late first-round pick at best.
If the Blackhawks were going to be picking a defenseman with that third pick, it was going to be Bowen Byram.
Absolutely.
100%. No one had Seider on their radar.
When he was taken, he's taken 7th overall, 6th overall. People were like, Steve Yzerman's lost his damn mind. This is a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. So, yes, if you redo that draft, Mo Seider is probably
number 3.
Yeah, because, I mean, what was it?
Or he might even be 2 behind Jack Hughes. Right?
Well,
yeah.
It
was Hughes, Capo Caco.
That's right. Yeah, he'd be 2.
And then Doc.
You could make an argument he'd be number 1.
Yeah, depending on who you ask. I mean, he's definitely higher than he was
considered. That was considered a reach by Yzerman. That's turned out to be gold.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight in that draft class is going to to kill Kirby Doc.
Yeah, that whole top 10 outside of like Seider and Hughes could probably be reshifted because it.
I mean, I was beating the drum for Alex Turcotte, and he's been buried in L.A. But
that's kind of who I wanted to.
Yeah,
I wanted
fairness,
but
I wanted Byram.
Guys like Zegras and Boldy and Cole Caulfield's turned a corner.
Yeah,
those guys have really not done any favors for Kirby Doc and the outlook that people will have for his development. But I think early on that was kind of a knock on him. People calling him a bust. I was like, give him some time. I'm not calling him a bust, but Again, like I said, the time I've been, lenient with him is run short.
Yeah,
now.
Overdrafted. There's no question there,
right. And that's not his fault. But
he's Kirby Trubisky.
Kirby, wow,
it's not his fault he was picked where he is. The fact that he was picked where he is probably going to unfairly influence his analysis because look, when he was picked, everyone said that's too soon for Kirby Doc. Everybody thought that.
Yeah.
So if he was picked at 6, 7, 8, okay, maybe you could sort of justify this development, but he wasn't. He's picked at 3, and that's what we have to go by. By the way, a couple people in the chat bringing up Kirby's brother Colton, who the Hawks drafted in the 2021 draft, 62nd overall. With Kelowna this season, 53 games, 24 goals, 35 assists, 59 points. He is lighting it up in Kelowna in the Western Hockey League. So let's pump the brakes. But
what they need to do,
guys light it up in the Western Hockey League.
What they need to do with him is what they should have done with Kirby is keep him in the WHL next season.
Yep. And then keep him in Rockford for let's treat this Doc Part 2 the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm really, we all agree, encouraged by how Kyle Davidson has been patient with the prospects because he had so many opportunities to call somebody up to try to slap a Band-Aid on things and has resisted that. And they did sort of say, I think Derek King said maybe about a month ago that the plan is to get Reichel some more games up here. But as they look at things, as we've been discussing with the Gustafsson-Vlasic situation, which we'll get into here in a minute, they're probably realizing there's not a lot of value in bringing Reichel up right now. What's it going to accomplish? Let's just leave him down here, let him continue dominating, get Rockford into the playoffs, and then just look at next year as a fresh slate. And look, I'm also, as much as I would like to see Lucas Reichel day one next season, if he's not ready, don't force it. Mm-hmm. Make him force your hand. Don't say, well, let's bring him up and hope it works out. Say, no, this kid has given us no other choice but to call him up, and that's when you do it because it is a rebuild after all, and it means you should not be rushing your top prospects.
Right, and I don't want to get ahead of things, but I feel like so far his trajectory has shown that he'll probably be that kind of player where he makes the decision difficult, and he did it this summer too in training camp.
No doubt.
He was there towards the very end. And sending him to Rockford was probably a harder decision for the former GM and Stan Bowman than he probably wanted it to be. But I think Reichel kind of forced that decision to be hard, and I think that's probably what's going to happen next season. But I think he'll be a guy that forces his way into the NHL lineup by next season. But anything could happen. Obviously, see how things go. But I think he'll be someone who will be in the lineup.
It's really tough to evaluate what he's done at the NHL level this season. But I will say the games he's played in Chicago, he hasn't been much of a factor at all. Not good, not bad, but not really noticeable in any way. Just kind of out there. Mm-hmm. And, that's feeling it out, getting used to the speed, getting used to line mates and all those things. But I haven't seen, in his call-up, like, oh, wow, he's not going to go back down. He definitely looked like a guy who needed to go back down and needed some more seasoning. So I hope he forces their hand next year. As a fan, I definitely want to see him.
Right.
Like I want Lucas Reichel here playing and contributing and just sort of get an indication of, okay, well, if this kid, his rookie season is a 40 points sort of a guy, like, okay, you can start to project, okay, well, in 2 or 3 years, maybe he's 50, maybe he's 60 points, and you can kind of see an end game to the rebuild there, but not at the cost of his development. You've got to be sure he's ready to go, and coming up here and struggling is not going to set him back like it has seemingly done with Doc.
And there's nothing wrong with him playing meaningful games as the Ice Hogs top line center, top power play guy. The Ice Hogs currently are in 4th place in the AHL Central. They got a funky playoff system. 23 teams make the playoffs in the AHL this season. Yeah. Basically, the bottom 2 teams from each division are out. So the AHL Central have 7 teams, so the top 5, but their standings are based on points percentage because everybody plays a different amount of games. It's so minor league. It's crazy.
So dumb.
But they're in 4th place with a .535 point percentage, which is only less than 30. They got the Admirals in 3rd at .563, so they could still maybe contend for 3rd, but it's not a guarantee. Texas Stars have the last spot at .508, and then you have the Grand Rapids Griffins at .492 and the Iowa Wild at .483. So they could be as high as 3rd place, or they could be on the outside looking in. And I think for a guy like Reichel and all those young defensemen and some of those borderline guys like an Alti Barmaki and a Michael Tepley, who's played really well this season, that's a guy that has progressed a ton this season. To get them at least one round of playoff action would be huge. Much better, I think, Reichel playing out this season, getting his team in the playoffs, leading his team to the playoffs, maybe pulling off an upset in that first round against a team like Manitoba or the Chicago Wolves, who are gunning for the Calder Cup, who have loaded up on some veterans lately. Our old friend Richard Panik, now playing for the Chicago Wolves.
He's back in Chicago.
So, to get that, to me, for Lucas Reichel, that's far more beneficial than playing 11 minutes in Chicago in a game that means nothing and watching guys not shoot the damn puck.
Hey, look at that. Learning some bad habits
of how not to play hockey. I don't want that.
Is it concerning, however, that the future of the Blackhawks is in 4th place in their division in the American Hockey League?
Well,
they have a lot of the same problems the Blackhawks do. Give up a lot of shots, don't shoot a lot of shots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hello, I like money.
I also like money. I think we should talk points bet really quick.
All right.
We continue with the Reichel talk.
I love that.
You like that segue?
I love that. That's perfect.
Thanks for bringing us back into
Yes,
the business mode.
If you are enjoying CHGO, and I hope you are, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you will even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and they'll be happy to help out. And in case you missed it, online signup is available in Illinois, so you can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Speaking of PointsBet, my favorite trend now to do on sports PointsBet is to bet all the winners on the NHL slate. I am currently 0 for 3 trying to do those multi-leg parlays. I started out pretty good tonight. But it was screwed up by the Rangers getting toasted by the Islanders. So thank you, Artemi Panarin and the Rangers.
Speaking of Mr. Panarin,
we had
the quote of the night.
We have a legit
That's a setup now.
post-game quote from Artemi Panarin, and this is from Arthur Staple. Here's the quote. Via translator, Artemi Panarin, quote, "We came out and shit our pants out there," end quote. So if you did not see the Rangers highlights, that's what you have to look forward to. I'm sure January in the chat saw that game and it has similar thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But speaking of points bet.
A bread man with a loaf in his pants.
Ooh.
Oh, hey now.
Yikes. We had our own little points bet game on our at CHGO _Blackhawks Twitter account, asking the over-under for Alex Vlasic minutes in this one because much to the delight of Hawks fans, Eric Gustafsson was a healthy scratch. We set the over-under at 8.5, 7 minutes on the dot for Alex Vlasic. And I think at some point in the third, was it like 2 minutes and 15 seconds of ice time? Or
What is the point?
Yeah, that's the thing.
He played 7 minutes, 3.5 of which he played in the first two periods. What is the point?
Yeah.
Like if you're making this whole point to be like, oh, we're putting Vlasic in and we're scratching Gustafsson, 7 minutes does him nothing.
Well, you might as well run Seth Jones into the ground. I mean,
They basically
31-58 for Seth Jones.
Yeah, no, that's
What
not,
is the point? we want to see Alex Vlasic play if he's up here. We don't need to see him playing 7.5, 7, 6.5. Like he's combined for less than Seth Jones played tonight. He is combined for that in 3 games. What is the point of him being on this roster right now? I don't get it.
It's a body, and until Connor Murphy's back, I think he'll be here because, like we've
understand,
discussed,
but,
they want to keep the Rockford crew together to get in that playoff race.
So-
but it is still
So frustrating.
like, can't you sign like a veteran guy or something
he's
to
played-
come and fill the void? Isn't Steve Pops available?
No, he doesn't have a jersey anymore. 2104 is what he has played in 3 games. So 7 minutes a night.
You got to ease him in.
No, if he's not NHL ready, then send him to Rockford.
Yep. Yeah, just
Send him to Rockford.
maybe you just carry 6 defensemen until you can't, and then you have an emergency call up. But it's
I mean,
I don't
maybe
know.
hopefully this
I just
changes
don't
when
get it.
Murphy gets back. We know he's been skating again. He's not taking part. He's not on this road trip. He hasn't taken part in team practices. He's been on his own, but that's a good sign. They got a 6-game homestand starting Sunday against Arizona Coyotes. So maybe we'll see him at some point in this road homestand, and then you can send him down. Or maybe it's the fact because they were on the road, they wanted to carry 7. Maybe when you get back home to Chicago for 6 games, you can send and carry
it's
just
easier
the
to make a
6th
call
guy.
up.
You can send him. I know Rockford is actually in Tucson this weekend taking on the Coyotes AHL team. So maybe that, having your farm team in Arizona and your NHL team in Florida probably wasn't the right time to make that move. I understand that. But you get back home, send the kid to Rockford. Let him play some actual minutes and maybe learn something.
If the playoff chase is important, wouldn't Alex Vlasic theoretically help?
If he's as good as you think he is, you sign him to a contract, he should help.
Or isn't it better to have him at least in an atmosphere where the games matter? Like, yeah, I understand being in NHL practice is a big deal, but do you want to be around an NHL team that is just trying to get to the end of the season healthy, or do you want him around the guys that he's probably going to play with for a good chunk of his career, hopefully, and get him into that culture where the games matter and every game seems like a playoff game, and then get some confidence that way. I mean, he's 20 years old. He just came out of college. If he's going to be playing 5 minutes, if he's going to get into an NHL game and play 5 minutes, I just don't see the point. Well, put him in Rockford, get him into that rotation of those young defensemen, and let him play 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. See what he has. And if you give him an opportunity to play 18 minutes a night for a few games in Rockford, and he doesn't look ready, then you just sit him in Rockford, and it's fine, and we don't have to have these dumb conversations about play Alex Vlasic. Why aren't we playing out? It just saves us a headache because then we can say, oh well, he's in Rockford.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, would you rather see at this point where the season is lost and there's no chance at the playoffs or anything, are you better off playing Eric Gustafson for 11 minutes and giving your veteran who's going to be here for the next 9 years and Seth Jones a little bit less ice time? Like, honest to God, like I know you paid this guy a ton of money, but you don't need to wear his ass into the ground every night.
Right, it's not Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals.
He played
Yeah,
more
there's no
than
reason-
half the game.
No reason for him to log 30 minutes
On the second game in back-to-back nights.
Right. That's negligent. And look, we've got to go to Derek King on that one too. Right? Like he's the one ultimately making these calls. And you might say, oh, Mark Crawford's in charge of the defense. And all. It doesn't matter. The head coach is the head coach.
He still gets the final say.
And 31-58 for Seth Jones is reckless. And I don't know if he's being told to play Alex Vlasic, if you just want to throw him a bone and say, hey, you've been working hard to practice. We're going to put you in this game, which I think that can help a little bit with a young player, right? Like it's a little bit of incentive.
a little bit.
But, man,
Well, how many times?
spread it out.
How many times have we talked about, especially in the case of young players, confidence? Confidence goes so far. Do you think Alex Vlasic has any confidence right now in what he could do at the NHL level? He obviously knows that Derek King doesn't trust him to put him out there.
And then
so what's that doing for him right now?
And then
Nothing.
when he is trusted to be in the lineup, he sits for
I know,
50,
he's still
he
not being
sits for
trusted,
53 minutes of
He
a
ba-
hockey game.
He basically gets a front row seat. He won an auction to sit on the bench for the game.
Yeah.
They put him out there more in the third because the game was
over.
Again,
over. They knew it.
They're saying in
Well, what
bright
good does that
neon
do?
letters, we don't trust you. So
Yeah.
what's the point?
Let's wait until the game is decided one way or another, then we'll put you out there. You're the cleanup, you're the relief pitcher you put out there in a 10-run lead or 10-run deficit.
Right.
The mop-up
'Cause you don't
guy.
trust them. Yeah,
That does nothing for a young player's confidence.
So I mean, we're I feel like we're praising the approach with development, with keeping some of the younger players down, but then
I just think this is unique,
now they're
though.
doing this, and it's just like, okay, like I understand we can't screw up this guy in the first week of his NHL career, but it's also not starting him off on the right foot.
Right.
What I hope is, and one thing Derek King has been praised for is his openness with players, right? And I hope whatever the reasoning is for the way he's being handled, it's at least being explained to him. Like, hey, man, like we know this is not ideal for you. We've got some injuries we're dealing with. We've got our Rockford team in a playoff hunt. So just bear with us here. We'll throw you in there a couple times when we can. And as soon as we get healthy, you'll go back down and you'll play. I hope that's the case because anything less than that does have the opportunity to mess with the kid, right? And if he's not getting a clear message, then that could be troublesome and it could have a psychological effect. But from everything we know about Derek King, he's open with players, he's honest with players, and he communicates the plan. So hopefully that's what's happening with Alex Vlasic. The problem is, like, we don't really – the story is not interesting enough to most people for it to, like, really get a big follow-up from the press. But maybe when we're out there, we can ask about it because it is really an interesting – I don't know, it's an interesting philosophy. It's an interesting concept they're using with him. And I do really hope it's just what we think it is with shortage of defensemen and not wanting to disrupt things.
Well, I'll be at morning skate and at the game Sunday night, and I will ask Derek King, what's the plan for Alex Vlasic going forward?
Yeah.
Is there a plan, and what is it?
And why has it been the way it is right now?
That will be my question to
It's
Mr. King.
It's also a weird way to handle a guy who came out of college early and is burning the first year of his entry-level deal sitting on the bench.
It seems like a giant
sitting
waste.
in the press box.
Yeah.
Like
it seems like a giant waste.
It's mind-boggling.
Anyway, I'm going to tell you about PointsBet again because we love them. They're our friends. And if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker and their dope things. Did I say that right?
Their dope thing.
The things are dope. The merch is dope.
Is that Strava coffee? Their dope thing.
That's different. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, and maybe you have, this is pretty new. Online sign up is available now in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now on your phone and register from start to finish, all from your couch. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports book, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Before we wrap up, we last show talked about our obscure Hawks jerseys. And on the table is my Adrian Coyne jersey because I had forgotten. I went looking for my John Clem jersey today.
I noticed it wasn't hanging over the Jordan.
Yeah,
jersey.
and I forgot that last summer there was a chipmunk living in our garage just wreaking havoc on everything.
Oh, wow.
And I dug out I had a Rubbermaid, storage thing, but it was not totally shut. And I opened it, and I had 3 Hawks jerseys in there, and all of them were just balls of yarn.
Oh,
they had just pulled the threads out of the jerseys. One of them was a John Clem, not a big loss, but there was a Winter Classic jersey in there.
That was the last John Clem Blackhawks jersey in existence.
I know. So I was kind of bummed to toss it, but it was really gross. Full of droppings and just absolutely nasty. No. So yeah, that was also my wife's Theo Fleury jersey was in there. So that one's gone.
Oh no!
And the Winter Classic was just a blank Wrigley Field Winter Classic one. But I just opened that and I'm like, oh,
that's some tough losses.
Yeah, I was gonna bring in my Nick Leddy jersey, but my old retired Hawks jerseys are in a box that has not been opened since my last move, and I'm not exactly quite sure where it is. So
is it accessible by chipmunks by chance?
I hope not. It's in the house, so there better not be chipmunks where these boxes are. But you never know.
So how did I find out it was a chipmunk? Here's the gross story. So late in the summer, every time I go in my garage, there'd be flies flying around. I'm like, where is this coming from? So I'd pull my garage apart, look in every corner, just expecting to find a dead mouse or whatever. So fall comes, and I have the folding table in my garage. I open the table, and out rolls a chipmunk skeleton.
Oh, R.I.P. Theodore.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, well, that's what you get for tearing up my Hawks jerseys.
Did he have little glasses? Was it Simon?
A little green sweater, a skeleton,
Elvin.
Oh no!
But I was like, oh, come on. And that's why I just had not opened that table, and I had moved it a bunch to look behind it, like in the corners. And as soon as I unfolded, it was like, blah, blah. Oh, it's so disgusting.
Was he wearing a little Blackhawk sweater that he knitted?
He knitted himself.
He knitted himself a little.
Cute. What player did he have?
Steve Pops.
Probably like Christopher Steeg or somebody like that.
He knitted himself a Jose Theodore
maybe
jersey.
There you go. Nice.
There
Or
you go.
like Dave Boland, a rat chipmunk. They're kind of close.
There you go.
They're from the same family. But yeah, so R.I.P.
man.
in peace, little chipmunk, and screw you for tearing up my John Clem jersey, which is just a great story. Like, why do you have that? Because I had a jersey addiction. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
And the Adrian Coyne jersey here is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's autographed on the first 3 there. This was in the era where the Hawks they were trying to do everything they could to get people coming to games. So you would walk off the L, and there would be Tuomo Ruutu with free Hawks tickets that people would be like, yeah, no, and just throw them in the garbage. And then they had an event during the preseason where they scratched like the star players. So Adrian Coyne, Martin Lapointe, those guys were out there. Brent Seabrook was out there. As you got your ticket torn, you would go through the line, and then there'd be Brent Seabrook. Like, hey, thanks for coming out. Can I sign your jersey? Can I sign something? And no one knew who Brent Seabrook was at that time. It was 12,000 people in the arena. But that's how far this organization has come. So, there were dark days not that long ago, and I know they're back. But like we said yesterday, the dig out and the rebuild is worth it if it works. And if the Hawks win another cup in the next 10 years, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely. And I brought my jersey here. I don't have obscure jerseys.
You're not a moron, Mario.
I don't have the dispensable income to get a Jujhar Khaira jersey, which we did find out not as obscure as we thought.
No, we have one of our Twitter followers' wives owns one of those and tweeted us the photo this morning. So
Owns.
Yeah, it was cool
in
to
our
see
face.
Yeah. But this is my first time seeing the Reebok, the current jersey up close in an authentic form.
that. The Adidas.
What did I say, Reebok?
Reebok.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at the
Adidas.
Adidas logo instead of Reebok.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
So it's pretty good quality. I will say that I have kind of gotten over the stupidity of the change from the Reebok to the Adidas Fanatics. Because if you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have given you a 20-minute rant about how stupid it was that Fanatics jerseys and Adidas jerseys are made differently, and that it's a clear difference in the quality. Whereas when it was with Reebok, you had the authentic, which was like, great quality, what the players wear, but then you had the replicas, and there were just some minor differences. You really, unless you were looking at them up close, like really looking at like, the seam or whatever.
Stitching usually is
Yeah,
the huge
it
difference,
was
right?
like, you could tell up close, like, what one was high quality, one was a little less quality, but it was, small differences. If you put the Adidas one next to a Fanatics one, the Fanatics one, you'd be like, where'd you get that, China? Like it looks so, and here I go on my rant. It looks so
Good thing we didn't
different.
ask
So
him about it.
like even just to the naked eye, you're like, that's Fanatics, that's Adidas. Like it's an issue that I've gotten over. But yeah, the Adidas ones, if you're if you're able to, I highly recommend investing in it. I don't know who I would recommend investing in for a Blackhawks jersey right now. Maybe just a blank one.
and then
Seth
wait.
Jones will be here for a while.
Well,
Yeah, that's for sure.
but he's bad, right, Jay?
He sucks.
He's terrible.
He's the worst defenseman ever.
He's also tied his career high for assists.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure he's
Stats
setting
be-
I'm sure he's
stats
setting
be
his career
damned.
high for time on ice this year.
Oh,
too.
no doubt about
it's
that.
gonna be close. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm with you though. I have a disdain for knockoff jerseys.
I do too.
Like it's one thing to go replica, right? But it's another thing to be like, I bought this authentic one from a guy's truck at a bar. Look, it's like the font's wrong. Taves is spelled wrong.
It's an upside down M instead of a W.
Yeah, right. Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, it actually
There-
literally
it
is an upside down M.
There's a difference.
It
W's
was
are
o-
wide.
It's authentic. It was only $50. Like, oh, come on.
You paid.
But I think the Adidas authentics are not as much as the CCM. Like I remember, like back in the day when I had a job, but I lived at home with my parents and no bills. Authentics were like $325. I don't think they're that high anymore, are they?
the price difference isn't as crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I would say if you can go for the Adidas because the Reeboks were like over $300 for the authentics and then the replicas were like half of that. The Adidas I think is under $300 and then the Fanatics replica is still like $150 or something like that. I can't say for sure, but the Adidas I remember was less than the Reebok authentic ones.
I'm looking at shop.nhl.com and I see
Those are going to be Fanatics.
a revert. Well, this one says authentic Adidas. This is from the Blackhawks store, actually. cbhshop.com.
There you go.
Authentic with no lettering, 180. Authentic lettered, 240. 240 is a good deal.
That's a good, yeah.
That reminds me of a joke about Irish chili, but I won't say it on the air.
Well, you kind of have to now.
All right. Why does Irish chili only have 239 beans in it?
Why is that?
Because if you add one more, it'd be too farty. That's my
Nice.
dad joke for the night.
Nice.
Well, I think that's as good a place as any to wrap things
we
up.
didn't do our 4-star yet, did we?
Oh, we got to do our fourth
Oh,
star of the
goodness.
game.
Four-star.
My God.
Oh my goodness.
All right. I think I gave mine to Kelvin DeHaan. It feels like a long time ago.
Yes.
The red hot goal scoring juggernaut, Kelvin DeHaan, had a pretty solid game today, though, in all honesty. I mentioned his 4 block shots earlier, a goal. He's been playing better. It's just so hard to evaluate this team when everyone's getting pasted all the time. But DeHaan had a solid game, scored a goal, so mine goes to Kelvin DeHaan tonight.
I'm going to stay on the Blackhawks blue line, and I'm going to give it to Jake McCabe. Let's face it, the pickings were slim tonight.
Yeah.
But
Even though we had the whole lineup.
right, he's had 2 block shots, which you like to see. He played 24 minutes. Biggest reason I'm going to give it to him is because He set up that play that led to the DeHaan goal.
Yep.
And he did it by exactly what we were talking about earlier. He saw what was out there. He didn't try and force the puck up the ice. They even showed the replay on the broadcast. He just flipped the puck into the zone, made sure the puck got in, and Kirby Doc made the play, set up DeHaan, who saw the screen. So it was just a nice, simple play that led to a simple approach and a goal. So I'm gonna give Jake McCabe my 4-star nomination.
I'm going with Sam Lafferty solely for the fact that he tried a spinorama shot. Like I applaud the effort.
That takes stones.
I'm falling in love with Sam Lafferty's effort, and I want him on this team next season. I think he's definitely played his way into at least another 1-year contract with the Blackhawks. And yeah, go off with your spin shot. You got to try. Hey, at least it's a shot on goal, right?
Yeah.
In a game where we're begging the team to shoot, if you got a spin to shoot it, go for it.
Still a shot. Line drive in the paper.
I feel like Sam Lafferty has gotten the most 4-star votes, at least since I've jumped on.
Before you got here, it was Dylan Strome.
Has he caught up to Dylan Strome?
Maybe.
I mean, Dylan Strome had a streak of like 5 games in a row.
You've traded Strome for Lafferty. He's been your guy lately. But,
well,
you know.
We just got to stop playing these Florida teams, man. This is rough.
So who's our guy? I'll concede my McCabe and go for DeHaan. DeHaan actually finished the game tied with Patrick Kane in shots with 3.
Can I add this DeHaan quote from the post game here? He said when he tried to when he saw Hagel on the ice for the first time. He said he gave him a quick hello and then tried to hit him from behind. So that was the welcome that Hagel got with his former teammates there.
Fair enough.
That quote alone gives him the 4-star.
So yeah, I'll go with DeHaan.
All right, Calvin DeHaan, congratulations. You win some dope CHGO merch. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We are off on Saturday. We're back Sunday. Going to be fun. We're going to be at the Hawks game for the first 2 periods. Mario and I, Greg will be handling reporting duties, so we'll make sure we grab some wieners for him up there in the suite.
I hear that's where they all hang out.
That's right. CHGO Blackhawks has been presented by PointsBet. Remember, use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. For Greg and Mario, I'm Jay. We'll talk to you Sunday night on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.